Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Danny Clinkscale proudly brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Estimates always free. Suggestions, they're built on integrity. Let Easton Roofing educate you about every possible roofing solution for your home or your business. It's not about Easton Roofing. It's about getting your specific roofing need handled and handled the best way possible. Easton Roofing is an Angie's List Super Service Award winner. Call Easton at 913-257-5426. Visit them online at eastonroofing.com. I know. Easton Roofing, I thought I was headed to a massive repair. Turned out to be not that big a deal. Get your free inspection, free estimate right now. EastonRoofing.com. Get back to business. Get back to life faster with Easton Roofing. Easton Roofing, integrity matters. Danny, how you doing, brother?
Well, it's a historic day in my life, Soren, and it reflects our times right now here in Kansas City.
You wore pants.
No. Well, I don't.
Abe Lincoln's birthday.
No, I did wear pants.
Okay.
It is the first time in my life today that I have long underwear on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was in the Walmart the other day picking up some stuff for my wife, and I saw a package of long drawers, and I said, you know what? It sucks outside. Why not? So,
yeah.
And early returns?
I don't notice I have them on, and I seem to be warm, so I guess I'm happy.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you, what I find is like when I go out and shovel and snow blow or doing something outside and I put them on, I come back inside, like I feel more energetic, right? Like because they're usually kind of tight, so they I don't know. I get why the NBA players wear those tights and NFL players wear those tights. Like you just feel like you got more energy, I think.
Well, for years I ran in the wintertime with shorts on. I don't really get cold that much. But when I went to Alaska once, my wife put her foot down and said, you need to get something to wear. And so I got some of those runner's pants that are stretch pants. And so I would wear those when I shoveled snow and the like. But I never got the little sort of flouncy ones with the checkerboard pattern or whatever. It looks just like I have a top that's like that too. So, and they seem to be quite nice. And they were, $4 or something. So what the heck?
Danny Unleashed. Authored by a man named Danny Clinkscale, who is secure enough to talk about having a top. Some men have shirts.
Danny wears
have hoodies.
Well, when it's
Danny has tops.
When it's an underwear item, it seems like a top. I was trying to differentiate it from the long johns. It's exactly the same material and such as the bottom. So
whatever makes you feel better, Danny. Whatever.
Do you wear pajamas to bed?
No, I have never worn pajamas.
I did when I was officially gone as far as I'm going to go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That would be flauncy.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I wore pajamas, but never as an adult. There you go.
We're talking to Danny Clinkscale, Danny Unleashed, brought to you by Easton Roofing. Danny, next 5 years expectation for the Chiefs. We can get into the game here in a second, but that was our theme in the first hour. What do you expect? Did you hear Curtis's breakdown of what every back-to-back Super Bowl appearance, not champions, just any team that's gone to 2 Super Bowls in a row, their first 2. So for the Bills, you've got their 3 and 4 going to the Super Bowl as part of the next 5.
I did not hear it, no.
Okay, so there are 7 championships and 5 Super Bowl losses, 12 overall appearances from 17 teams that have been in back-to-back Super Bowls.
All right. So
average record is like 10 and 5 because there's a lot of – it's actually 10 and 4.9 because there's a lot of 14-game seasons in there.
And a couple include that 82 strike year, but they only played 9. So it pulls the numbers down a bit.
I'll be relatively conservative and say the Chiefs will go to 2 Super Bowls and win 1.
And you think that's conservative?
I do. I wouldn't go lower than that.
Wow. You think that's what they're going to do, or that's what they better do this? Like, what? Phrase it how you want to phrase it.
I think it would be a little bit disappointing if they, slightly lower would be if they only made one Super Bowl in the next 5 years. I would say that would be disappointing. Yeah.
One Super Bowl in the next 5 years, however, one appearance in the next 5 years would be better than average.
Right, because they were only, it was better than it wasn't even close to a 1 average. So
it was 12 for 17 teams.
But I think when you have a youthful quarterback who is unquestionably the best in the game right now, not the GOAT, just the best in the game right now, in a league that is driven even more than ever before by the quarterback position, and you have other talents around, a fine head coach, a bright young general manager, and you're generally going to be either getting a bye or playing playoff games at home. All those things stacked up, yes, I would say that 2 is about where they ought to be and almost better be, or it'd be disappointing.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
I think when you do say, okay, for the next 5 years, should be same coach and same general manager, you knock out the Packers, you keep the Cowboys, who appeared in one. It does get better. It does get better for the coach, and if the coach and quarterback are going to stay together, you do end up with a better scenario. You eliminate some of the riffraff, and so from that standpoint, that's why I do think, I think it'll be disappointing if they don't win one.
Right. Agreed.
If they get to 1 and win it, I think that's good. If they get to 2 and win 1, that's great. But I just want people to understand, just by getting to a Super Bowl, they beat the math, the overall math.
Right. But the scenarios always change through time, as you said. The league's different. They have the best quarterback, unquestionably, right now. The quarterback is the man in the National Football League these days. I think making one and winning it that's great. Making one, to me, would actually be slightly disappointing. I'll say that, too.
Really?
Yeah, because I said 2, and I think that's about as low as I want to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Imagine
you
Danny
said slightly
being the
disappointing.
guy.
You didn't say a disaster.
No, not if they didn't make it to the Super Bowl in the next 5 years, that's a disaster. If you're toting around,
really?
Yeah, oh yeah, you're toting around the best quarterback in the National Football League, really by, he's up here, and then the next best guy is a ways down. Okay, if he's a 10, the next one's 7.5.
Where I would had they not gone for the run it back thing last year and been more responsible, big picture on the cap, I would agree. But to me, what they did was trade in their probabilities of at least the first 3 years of these next 5. Trade in, they borrowed some of the likelihood of being able to get back there for the next 3 years to ensure their chances of getting there this year.
And since they did that, that was in the end a mistake, and wouldn't.
Is it a mistake? Is an AFC championship? Doesn't qualify?
No,
as a successful year?
But I think if their idea was, hey, we're going to go for the gusto and win a Super Bowl and whatever, and if it submarines the next 5 years to the point, and I'm not saying it is going to the point where they don't even make a Super Bowl. Basically, think of it this way: each of the next 5 seasons, right now at this time of year, you'd be talking about the Chiefs losing.
Yeah. They could not get to a Super Bowl in the next 5 years and have it not be because they put everything into this past season.
Oh, absolutely. But if we are in a couple of years down the road, we're sitting around and saying, well, Frank Clark hasn't peed a drop, and we didn't get anything for that, and we didn't trade any of the guys.
Well, first of all, if Frank Clark doesn't pee a drop for one more year, he's going to be out.
Right. So, what you would have said is that we got a few good playoff games out of Frank Clark for $20 million per, and that kept us from doing this, and it kept us from doing that, and so I don't think any of that. I don't think this is going to happen. I think the Chiefs have a very good chance to exceed what I just said, but I do think a playoff loss each of the next 5 years would be disappointing. Yes, I do.
Well, I'll go back even and say that they were in the run-it-back mode in 19 as well, because they overpaid for Frank Clark to improve Dee Ford, and he's definitely better. right? That worked.
But at least they gassed the entire defensive staff. I mean, they did some radical change things. They just didn't do a run it back like we're going to run it back with the same
No, but
scenario.
I mean, from a personnel standpoint,
right.
they were loading up for now. For 2 years, they've done everything to do now, which I think, and this is where I would have been different. As you know, I would not have had Sammy Watkins on the team. I wouldn't have had DeMarcus Robinson. I wouldn't have had Chris Jones. And we probably wouldn't have been in the Super Bowl this year, to be honest with you, because I think Chris Jones was a huge part of it. But I likewise also wouldn't have had Frank Clark in 19, because I never would have subscribed to the whatever it takes to win a Super Bowl, or at least get to. I don't even think the 19 mindset was to win a Super Bowl. I think it was to just get to one. And I do believe that there was, and I can't fault somebody who said, we have to bring the Lamar Hunt trophy home to Lamar Hunt's building. And I think that's where they were, whatever it takes. Like, we've got to win one. Then we'll switch gears and go with the mindset to try to win many. And so I think they went out and poured everything into just trying to get one, because they knew, like, hey, we've got the kid. We got to get one while he's in his rookie contract, because that's by far the easiest way to get it done. So they went balls to the wall for 1 year, and then they realized, you know what, we actually can cram it all back in for one more year. And they did it. Now they're going to live with the consequences of it. I never would have had that. You know, I would have traded for Frank Clark. I've put my moves on the table that I would have done differently. I would have signed Zadarius Smith from the Ravens, who went to the Packers, instead of trading for Frank Clark. I definitely would have moved D Ford, and I'd have had more draft picks, and I think they'd be a better team right now. But Frank Clark was definitely going to be better than – I mean, I don't think he was better than Zadarius Smith, but he might be better against the run. But, you know, so they made their move on who it was, and they won a championship, and I can't fault that. You know, like, I can't fault the Royals for not winning 5. They won 1, right? I would have done things differently. I would have traded guys away, but, you know, they did it their way, and they kept the window open for 5 years, and so now we pay the price. But, you know, we're paying the price in the sense that they've got 2 30-plus-year-old tackles that are complete question marks.
Right, and we saw that, yes, the Chiefs' way of sort of dancing around using major resources, except for the tackles, on the offensive line can work, but if a couple things go wrong and you're left with poor offensive line play, it can indeed kill you in a game. But, I mean, the Chiefs did so many things wrong in the game. I mean, you can pin it on the offensive line, but, you know, they're dropping punts, they're making penalties. It was, you know, if you want to be able to go into another off season really motivated, the Chiefs have got to think, how did we put that stinker up? You know, let's get back there and show that was just craziness.
Let me ask you this, did they put a stinker up, or is this who they really are and they just did a great job of masking it until they ran into a red-hot Buck team that's pretty good?
I don't think anything was really exposed. I mean, the Chiefs got the worst, you know, hand that you could get as far as the offensive line is concerned, and certainly, you know, Eric Fisher going down at the last was the thing that tipped it over. But even given, you know, an average-ish offensive line performance, there was no indication to me that they would have won the game with all the things they did. But what it did was wreck the game.
Yeah, I agree. And
I mean, there was some times when it looked like the Chiefs were running a screen pass. You know, that they just let
because of how quick they got through.
Yeah, they were just letting that. It must be a screen. Look, all those guys are coming in.
Nope.
I did not give enough credit to how good the Bucs' defensive line is, and I certainly did not give enough credit to how bad the Chiefs' offensive line is. That was my major mistake. By the way, let's give some love to Danny, who did pick the Chiefs but picked them close, so saw it as more of a fight than I did. I completely whiffed on the game.
Well, and I thought they were going to have problems in the offensive line, but I thought that they were going to be able to find ways to mitigate them too. I mean, it was shocking to me that it was just a virtual jailbreak on every passing attempt.
I think what we found was, you know, Eric Fisher's really important, and if you have Eric Fisher down and the 4 other guys in there, then you can play a game like you did against the Rams. Several big defensive plays cost you, but you can still make big plays. I'm talking about the 18 game against the Rams,
right?
Where I don't think Fisher was in that game, right? He wasn't, was he?
I don't think so.
I'll check. I think you're
or
right.
Or maybe
though.
he was, and Cam Irving was at left guard. That's where he was. He was at left guard. But I mean, I think that's what it. That's what it would have looked like. They still would have made some big plays. They still could have hung some points on the board. But it's when they lose everybody else and then Fisher goes down. There was no way to help. Where do you help? Every guy needed help.
I think the one thing that I did have a grasp on that I'll give myself some credit for is the fact that I think that the Bucs' off defensive line is about what you were saying it was, but they were hot. I mean, they had played 3 really good games in a row, and that's kind of what defensive line play. If you get your teeth into some sacks and you're getting there, I mean, it's a tough thing to do to rush the passer all the time. It stinks. Yeah. A couple successes out of 35 plays is a good day. But if you've had success recently and you realize, I'm getting there a lot. This is great.
And the minute they realized they were, it was just like,
this is
let's
fun.
go, boys.
Party, meeting at the quarterback.
Yeah, no, and that blew up. I mean, the offensive line just got completely exposed, and we've talked a lot about it. You mentioned let's take a break. I don't want to get behind, and let's talk about the changes that Danny would make. What are the moves he would make in this offseason? We'll do that next. Danny Clinkscale is brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. No payment is collected until you're 100% satisfied. Call Easton Roofing today at 913-257-5426. The folks that repaired my roof can repair your roof, or if it's time, re-roof, whether it's your home or your business. Find Easton Roofing online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. The storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors, offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
All right, the Jazz, end of the hour answer. How many quarterbacks have started in a conference championship game as a rookie?
Ben Roethlisberger.
That's one.
David Woodley wasn't a rookie, was he? He was second year, right?
Yep, there have been 2 since Roethlisberger. I'll give you a hint. There's at least 3.
Was Russell Wilson a rookie?
Russell Wilson, nope.
Conference championship game.
Conference championship game.
Since Roethlisberger did.
Yeah, there have been 2 since Roethlisberger. If I tell you how many there were before, then you'll know how many there are, which was the question. How many have done it?
I'll say 4.
I was thinking 6, but
It is 6. The first to do it, Pat Hayden, 1976. The second to do it, Dieter Brock for the Rams. He's 70 today. Sean King of the Bucks.
He was 70 then, wasn't he?
He was 34. He was 10 years older than every other person, obviously, he played in the CFL. Sean King in 99 for the Bucks. We mentioned Roethlisberger. Then Joe Flacco in 2008 for the Ravens, and Mark Sanchez for the Jets in 2009.
Butt fumble made it.
Butt fumble made it.
He made it twice in a row, didn't he?
Yeah.
Danny, what would you do this offseason?
I would certainly. I think they're going to get some guys. Well, they have to look at the offensive line because they've got big decisions to make. Whether they think that it's worth waiting out Eric Fisher coming back. They don't know anything about. We don't know what Mitchell Schwartz's ideas of football right now are. I mean, would it shock any of us if he just retired? No. Which then would leave you in a position where you really would have to do a lot of work as far as the offensive line is concerned. I think philosophically for postseason football, I think I would think about the fact that what works against slightly lesser competition and is fun is what they continue to try to do during the Super Bowl, which is to send all their wide receivers out over and over and over again. But run the ball a little bit more. Maybe, Rob Gronkowski was basically an extra tackle in that game, and he's good at it. I'm not saying they should do that. They've got Patrick Mahomes. You want to use him. But don't heap everything on the guy just because he's almost always capable of handling it. That doesn't mean he could be maybe even more effective if you took a little bit off his plate.
Well, how about don't get him beat to hell?
Right, exactly. Well, that's part of it. Yes.
Because, stop with the options. Okay.
He's going to do enough damage.
They ran it
He's going to do enough damage. He's going to do enough damage with the impromptu running. You don't need to you call it.
Yeah. I think just call a quarterback draw then. Where you show pass and he's in the open field and he can really protect himself. Because we saw, I asked Andy Reid, listen, why do you have no quarterback sneak? You haven't run that since he got hurt, but you have the option. Is it because, he can protect himself? He's like, yeah, he can protect himself. Well, clearly not.
Right.
Because he ended up in concussion protocol because of it. Like, can he protect himself better than the quarterback sneak? I actually don't think so, because I saw Alex Smith get concussed on an option play as well. So I don't think that play is as risk-free as you think. And they've run it a couple of times thinking that they would just be so blown away by it. But Mahomes has clearly been told, get rid of it. You're pitching it no matter what. Well, it doesn't work if he's going to pitch it no matter what. Because they'll sniff that out real quick. Just like every team I think has sniffed out, they ain't running the quarterback sneak. And I'd rather see him run the quarterback sneak than run the option. But
because it's really sorry to interrupt. I thought you finished.
No, I was done.
The quarterback sneak is just a mass of humanity. There's not like heat-seeking missiles usually coming in a quarterback sneak situation. So, I think it'd be you get hurt, but I think it'd be very difficult to get concussed on a quarterback sneak. I'll say that.
I think Austin Ryder is a fine. If they end up with Austin Ryder back next year, I'm fine with that. But he is the epitome of a finesse center. Go get a bulldozer in the middle and run some quarterback sneaks, where that guy's going to get low, knock him back, and he can just do the jump, the Drew Brees jump up and reach over and pull it back, quarterback sneak. Because the linebackers can't get there fast enough to knock it out of his hands. Get back to quarterback sneaking from the one, because Tom Brady's done it for 50 years and has been fine. I do think the fact that he's taller protects him more, but I still think you can do it. But really, protect him more. I think you've got to look for, a left tackle. I think, and it might be in the draft, and Lucas Niang might be that answer.
Maybe.
I don't know. But, I don't think you can – I think it would have been fine if they said, we're going to put this all back together. Had Eric Fisher not been hurt. But once Eric Fisher got hurt, I almost think the decision was made for you. You're walking on Fisher saving the $12 million, and Lucas Niang's either got to get it done or Mitchell Schwartz has got to be healthy and move to the left side. Whatever you want to do, you've got some options there. And if Mitchell Schwartz isn't going to be healthy, then you move on that. And you're talking about Yang and Rankins as your tackle, so you're definitely looking to add some more depth along the offensive line. I kind of like the idea of blowing a lot of people out and signing a wideout, because there's really good depth of wide receiver. And I think the chance to play with Patrick Mahomes, you can win a bidding war. If Patrick Galladay's being wooed by the Jets and the Chiefs, I think he takes a little bit, and it's not Patrick. What is it? Kenny Galladay. If he's being wooed by the Jets and the Chiefs, he's going to the Chiefs. If Allen Robinson is being wooed by, football team and the Chiefs, and you're in the ballpark, he's going to go to the Chiefs. I think you could go get one of what I think are the top wideouts, Galladay, Godwin, and Allen Robinson. You could go get one of those three guys in this offseason. And if you blow out the tackles, at least one of them, if Schwartz is going to come back, which would be my hope, and you've got him at right tackle, you walk on Fisher, and I walk on everybody else. I walk on Breland, I walk on Okafor, I walk on Passanio. I don't think Okafor or Passanio are anything more than Jags. I walk on Watkins. I walk on DeMarcus Robinson. All their tight ends behind Kelsey. I'd love to find a tight end in this. You walk on Le'Veon Bell. I'd probably walk on Wiley if anyone's going to pay him. Any of these guys, Dan Sorensen I walk on, they're all welcome back for the league minimum, which Mike Pinnell came back for the league minimum. But if somebody wants to give them more money, I understand, guys, you got to go get paid, but we got to start setting ourselves up for the future. And I get real young, real fast, and I'm looking to trade down all over the place in the draft, get more young players. I think it's time to set yourself up for the long haul and not for just next year.
Yeah, so far, I can't disagree with any of that. But so far, what we've seen from Brett Veach is that he's not that guy. Now, maybe this will be the off season that he changes his stripes, but he seems to think, and it's a good trait to be very confident, he seems to think he can do all of it. That he can sort of try to run it back, but also...
Why do you say that? I think
he trades up all the time. He almost never trades down.
Right.
I think that what we've seen so far is that he's tried to keep... I don't think he's willing to take a... See, the thing is, the Chiefs can be a very viable team that would have the chance, certainly, to go to the Super Bowl and still do some of the things you said. And they don't have to win 14 or 15. They might have won 15. You don't have to win 15 games in order to go to the Super Bowl. You can... 12's fine. And, if what that means is that you're slightly less of a powerhouse because you don't sign that one extra veteran for a big contract, or keep a veteran with a big contract, and instead do what you said, get young. What's the hallmark of the Chiefs? They're fast. They're a fast team. That's their difference making. Well, young means faster, and so I think that incorporating some of the things you just said, I think, are extremely wise. But I haven't seen that type of mindset for the general manager yet. And like I said, he's young enough to change.
Go ahead.
He's young enough that he can change the way he does things, and also he's been in a scenario that's different than this year. So
he's only been there for 3 years, and I think kind of the path was laid out for him. So I think it was go win a championship. They got it. I think there was a fork in the road. He could have taken the let's play the long game last year, but he went for the let's go for back-to-back. I have no problem with that. You can only make that decision when you've already won one.
Right.
But now, to me, he's got options. And so I don't think – I think we haven't seen him have options. I think the kind of the cards were played for him, and I think by winning a championship, he clearly got it done there. And then by getting back to the big game, that's about all you can ask. I mean, he had all the pieces in place. And if Eric Fisher had one more game in him, maybe it's a different game.
And also, that's possible, although watching the game you don't think so. But, hey, one thing, and that's not a little thing, can certainly change the flow and whatever. I think one thing that they probably learned, or maybe he learned, was that it is possible to have Patrick Mahomes out there and have him not save the day. I mean, and get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
So that's probably, if you were going to lose, I guess that's a good thing out of it, in the fact that, well, look, we've never lost by more than one score, no matter what the circumstances were. We win almost every game, and at the very least, every game's close. Well, no, not this time around.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that will be an important lesson for him to take in, and one that he may very well have known. We keep acting like, well, the 12-year-old finally learned that, just because he's a young GM. I mean, he may have known that all along. Like I said, I think he followed a path that was put in front of him. And, this is what we're doing. His coach, who's clearly the most powerful figure in that organization, and he wouldn't argue with it, and rightfully so, said, no, the engine's running. We're this close. We can't back away. Okay, well, now the engine's not running anymore with your offensive line decimated and free agents everywhere. So you don't, there's no reason to say we really didn't have a choice. I mean, we were right there. How do you not grab for the trophy? Because, you can play the long game, and maybe you're, sitting at 6-4 again, and then that's when all the young guys click, and you go 6-0 down the stretch, and you're 12-4, or maybe even you're 5-5, and it clicks, and you go 6-0, and you're 11-5, and you're this year's Bucks. You actually, while you don't have the best record, you're now the best team at the end of the season because the young guys have come around,
right?
And you're ready to go. I do think one of the things he's got to do is he's got to stop trading up.
Right. I completely agree with that. Now, except for once. I mean, they wouldn't be there where they are without the most famous trade up. But and he wasn't general manager then, but he was apparently the one slamming his fist on the desk about it. But yeah, I mean, he's done it, every draft so far to get a fairly, what he would consider a significant player that he's reached for. So
yeah, first the disaster at the end.
Speaks. Breland
Speaks. Then his first selection for McCole Hardman. It was the second rounder, but he moved up for Hardman.
And I think that's every bit looking like bad.
And no, he didn't move up. He didn't move up in this last draft, did he?
Let me see.
He didn't move down, but he didn't go up for Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
No, that's true. But didn't he go up?
I think Yang. He didn't go up for Gay. He talked about going up for Gay, and then stayed put. Right? Like afterwards, he's like, I was going to move up like 5 spots, but then I looked at where I thought they were going to go, and so we stayed.
I think
put.
They moved up for somebody, and maybe it was a good one. Maybe it was Snead.
Well, you know what he did? He moved the 21 6th to get into the 27th round and take Bo Peep Keys.
Yeah, there it is. 230. Yep, 237.
That's what he did.
Yep.
He did move up.
That's the only one.
He moved a 6th for a 7th.
What do you that? I was sort of circling around to get to it because it was a trade up. I don't think McCole Hardman, if they're thinking, and you said you wanted to get a wide receiver, so I think you're probably thinking along the same lines.
I don't think he's a number 2.
No, I don't.
I think he's more Oz Hakeem than he is Torrey Holt.
He also, by most, I'm not a coach or somebody who is a film analyst, but he looks like he does the wrong thing out there a lot.
He's listen. He's a center fielder that climbs the wall for it to bounce behind him.
It's Kerry Robinson.
There's Kerry Robinson in this guy. He can't judge a punt.
Right. He does a lot of things, and I think he runs a lot of bad routes.
Always Kurt Warner, and we're not going to get to it today because I didn't have a chance to go through it all. A buddy of mine hit me to it. Kurt Warner's got a breakdown where he talks about where McCole Hardman's making mistakes. Listen, on that ball where he ran that kind of wheel route, and Mahomes fires a laser over there behind him, and he's not even looking for the ball. Now,
Right.
You ask me, who had the right read on the play? And I know the Chiefs have a lot of option routes where, like, the wide receiver, the receiver has to read the defense the same way the quarterback does because it's if they do this, you're going here. If they do this, you're going there. And he routinely seems to, whether it's not bringing his route back, and you see Mahomes going, come back. You got to come back. Like one of Mahomes' picks was because he didn't come back to the ball. And when he's asked, he has this laissez-faire attitude about it where it's like, yeah, well, the DB actually made a great play, and you made an ass play. You're right, he did. But you made a terrible play, and you did not come back because Mahomes is waving at you. Come back to the ball. And then you ask Mahomes, like, oh, no. And same thing Trent Green used to do for Sammy Parker, right? Like, McCole Hardman's more Sammy Parker than Tyreek Hill. Because I remember a couple of times Trent Green coming over and just laying into Sammy Parker's ass. Like, what do you do after, like, a pick or an incompletion? And like, after the game, I'd be like, Trent, it seemed like, you had that incompletion on 3rd and 6, and you came over, it seems like you and Sammy were kind of having a discussion. Oh, no, I was telling him, great job, I made a mistake, great route. And now you talk to Trent, and he won't name any names. He's like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do. You're not going to come, burn your guy. McCole Hardman does not get it.
And his regression, his taking a big step back is a huge problem because,
I think just to clarify, this is semantics. I don't think he took a step back. I think they put more on his plate, and he failed.
That's fair.
And if you're going to run an offense that has a lot of option routes, and you got a guy who's a bad reader,
yeah,
right,
then you can't send him to the library, apparently.
But if you're going to spend a second-round pick on someone, and then 2 years later you go into an offseason going, we got to find someone in that position, that's bad.
I agree. Yes,
except for that
miss.
position is like corner. You can never have too many of those guys. Like they really do need 3. They go 3 wide all the time. So having 3 of them is important. They don't have a number 2. And I know everybody wants them to go get some jump ball winner, right? But that's not the kind of receivers Andy Reid looks for. I'd like to see I love DK Metcalf. We'd all love DK Metcalf. Marcus Peters or McCole Hardman is not a disastrous pick. He's not as good as DK Metcalf, and he's really just a raw athlete that doesn't look like he's ever going to get the intelligence part of the game.
So I think
not that he's a dumb kid. He just is not zeroed in on the little things he needs to do to be great.
I think you take those guys in the 5th round, not trade up for them in the 2nd round.
And I think there was fear DK Metcalf would be that same guy. And by the way, DK Metcalf, down the stretch, kind of became a pain in the ass and a diva. So we're loving the production and the big plays, but let's see if he isn't T.O. and shooting his way out of town next year in Seattle anyway. Certainly their quarterback is starting to show that that's the way you do things, right? Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is getting attention. Deshaun Watson, I better get some attention here in Seattle too. Oh, I'd like to have some say in personnel. Shut up. Shut up. Take your 5 for 140 or your 4 for 140 and shut up. I love how all these quarterbacks, they want all their guaranteed money as soon as they get it. Then it's like, I think you got to get rid of me because you're not giving me everything I want. The 140? That's not enough?
Yeah, it's almost don't they? Maybe you should just drop them back in time a little bit and have them realize this. It's incredible money.
Yes.
I mean,
and no other position in the sport is getting it.
Right.
Not the amounts of guarantees and everything else. Yeah, no, you're right. Listen, Danny Clinkscale is brought to you by Easton Roofing. You can find them online at eastonroofing.com. Let Easton Roofing get you back to business, get you back to life faster. They educate you on every possible solution when it comes to your roof for your home or your business. Go to eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, there's all kinds of roofing companies in Kansas City. People see their trucks, they see their ads, they see their commercials on TV. What separates you out from the pack?
Danny, there's a lot of roofers in Kansas City that are good roofers that can put a good roof on, but we like to pride ourselves on giving you a good customer service experience. From the first time you call, you're going to get a friendly voice on the phone. We're going to let you know what's happening and when it's happening. And, the other piece is some companies are small enough to do small jobs. Some companies are big enough to do big jobs. We're right there in the middle. We can handle the little stuff. We can handle your repairs all the way up to your big commercial roofs.
So what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you at Easton Roofing?
You can find us at eastonroofing.com, or you can always call us at 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
I would wait, but I always think I'm going to wait for when the music changes, but it takes way too long. Danny Clinkscale, brought to you by Easton Roofing. Check them out online at eastonroofing.com. They're the folks that repaired Danny's roof, repaired my roof. They are phenomenal. One of the fastest-growing companies in Kansas City, but don't think they're little by any stretch of the imagination. 2 projects going on at once for 2 20-plus story buildings. They're able to handle anything you want to throw at them. That's Easton Roofing. Joe Spiker and the team, absolutely fantastic. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Call them at 913-206. I'm sorry, I was giving you All Weather Decks phone number. I apologize. We can call All Weather Decks as well. They'll be happy to take your call. Call 913-257-5426. Find Easton Roofing online at eastonroofing.com. And, of course, we're also reminding you about Hen House. They're great floral arrangements, all the roses you could want. And, of course, you can get the tulips, a dozen long-stem tulips for just $15 in assorted colors. Dinner for 2 back at the meat counter, all ready to go. Steak and lobster and a lot of potatoes. And, of course, the delicatessen has the full spread with side dishes, desserts, appetizers for $49.99. Check it out online at henhouse.com. Danny Andrew Benintendi is a Royal. You like the deal for the Royals? They give up Franchi Cordero and Khalil Lee.
I do like the deal. I think that he is someone who, it's not like there's no red flags. He did have a slow ending to the 19 season, but he's seemingly dedicated himself to returning to the player that he really was at the outset. He's a good fielder. He's got some speed. So, yes, I think he's an established major leaguer, and I think the floor is not very low for him. Even if he just turned into, a 275, 70 walk, 40 double guy, 35 to 40 double guy with the fact that he's a good fielder and base runner, that's a good player, and I think he has the chance to do better than that. I mean, he once was the number 1 prospect in baseball. So I do like the trade, and Khalil Lee seemed to have flattened out, and I think I heard you talking about it yesterday. I think Franchi Cordero was somebody they knew had some tools. They took a look at it. If they really liked what they saw, even though he was raw and maybe didn't play that well, if they thought that was still there and were really convicted in it, then I don't think they would have dealt him. So I think this is a good, solid move, and I think that they will get a player for at least 2 years at a reasonable price who is at least a good ball player.
The Royals, what do they give up for Franchi Cordero?
Wasn't it a pitcher?
I found it. October of, oh no, hell, that's they believe in Franchi Cordero. They got Ronald Bolaños with him, right?
Tim Hill for Cordero
That's
and
right.
Ronald Bolaños.
So if Tim Hill were there instead of Franchi Cordero, I'm okay with that. Franchi Cordero is a tease. That's what I think. I think there's Abraham Nunez. I think there's, who are those other guys that, oh, wow, he hit the ball 490 feet. And it's the first ball he's hit in 14 days, even made contact with. Like, I think he's a tease. I love this because I think this is a professional hitter that keeps the line moving. And, I think they're one more batter away. And you can be patient with Nicky Lopez, but either Nicky Lopez or Mike Taylor, one of those two has to be upgraded. And if you can upgrade one of those two, and I think Nicky Lopez with only about 500 at-bats, there's a reason to stay the course, although he'll be at the 1,500 at-bat mark at about age 28 because he's going to turn 26 this year. He's no hot young prospect by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't see it in Michael Taylor. I think they're a center fielder away from being a contender.
If their young pitching comes along as you hope it would, and it's given every indication that it is and will, things can go so wrong as far as pitching is concerned from a physical standpoint. But, Michael Taylor kind of fits, to me, into – I think the Royals are teased a lot. And maybe they feel like that because
they love tools. Yeah,
they love to see tools. And even if tools are failing, repeatedly, they do like tools. There's no question about that. And it doesn't seem to really work that much for them. They'll require the guy. They're taking a flyer on him. That flyer doesn't seem to have struck gold very often for him, but they keep at it. That's for sure.
Well,
so that's why I'm taking. I'm liking the fact that they're taking somebody who's proven. I mean, he's a proven major league ball player.
Yeah, it needs to Mondesi needs to come around, but you do have to like that Benintendi and Santana add 700 points of on-base percentage and all likely career on-base percentage to this lineup, and that's something they desperately need. And I do like that they're trending in that direction. I think that's a real positive.
I think it's a real big positive.
Yeah. Danny, great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. We'll do it again next Friday.
Sounds good.
Danny Clinkscale is brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.